Okay, this is cool. I'm continuing this talk about flammed accents with different accents, and one thing that happened for me, because the other thing too is I was talking about on this post about physical logic, right? So there's a real physical logic to the flam accent the way it is. That so as soon as I started leaving that accent pattern, what I was trying to do was play the right hand flam and then play the right hand note, but that's not the sticking for a flam accent because it's so weird and different that you sort of lose the physical feeling of that sticking pattern. So it actually is easier this way. Is you're going to play flam left right flam right left, and that's actually a little easier than what I was trying to do. Okay, so it's going to look and sound like this. And for those of you that have actually practiced flam cues, or you're sort of used to that sound of a flam and then the accent note is after the flam. That actually is a cool rudiment and a very underrated rudiment for that reason. So that's the idea with the flam accent, with the accent on the second triplet. Because it's cool. So you get the flam note and then you get the accent note after that. Then the other thing Dan did, and much better than I'm doing it, is then he would accent the last note of the flam accent. Again, it's not a flam note, it's just an accented note, and bringing that out for emphasis. So that is this sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that one was cool because I wasn't used to doing that sound. That was that, at least with the accent note right after the flam, it sort of had that flamacue idea in common. But this was different. So, and then you could go back and forth between the three of them. You could play them in succession, Sorry, screwed it up again. So you notice that I'm actually keeping the parts where I fouled it up because I think that's the thing. These are different motions for us to make, and they're going to take a while to be fully baked. Obviously, I worked on it for a while, and then I was off because of my foot, and I didn't. They're not ready to go yet, and that's okay. That's okay. That's part of this process. Is you're gonna work on these things until they become more natural. Okay. So then. That was all that Dan had done in that post. And then I started thinking about, well, what are other flam rudiments that we could practice, right? And some of them really simple. Things like a flam and then 3 strokes. So instead of it being played this way, we could play it this way. Or off the left hand, that's the regular way. Or a really good way to check these is just check your stick height. If your sticks are going higher on the non-flam notes than the flam notes, those are the ones. Those are the notes that are going to come out, right? Okay, so there's those, and there's also flam taps, which again is the classic sound of. But what we can do is accent the note after the flam, and that's going to be this. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, slower, sorry. Okay, and then even trickier than that one is where you actually play it with, that's actually changing the sticking a little bit, right? So if you actually keep the internal regular sticking of a flam tap, you end up flamming with the non-grace note hand of each hand as you're alternating it. So that is this motion. And again, for me, that's not a very natural motion. There's so many, and partially because I've worked on flam so much in the standard way. As soon as you're deviating from that, it's a whole new set of motions to deal with. So be patient with yourselves. You may not believe this, but I worked on these for quite a while. And still, it's going to take time for them to develop and become natural. That's okay. I'm not going to try to do this on a gig. I'm just trying to do this so I can, be more flexible with things like flams and accents. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect this second. These are some of these are long-term projects. You're not going to, I'm not going to go play a blues band gig tonight and suddenly have a solo or something. I'm going to put these in. It's not going to happen, and that's okay. That's okay. We're working on it. We're developing it. We're hearing into the future with this. Okay, so just a couple of more ideas that I'm going to show you to do with this. One is the Swiss Army triplet. So this sound usually is what it is. But I'm going to accent the other two notes of this, but not the flam. So that's... One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Sorry. Okay, so you see that I'm struggling with it a bit. It's a hard motion to make that flam and then accent the non-great snowed ham after it. At least if you're doing something where you do the flam and then the other hand comes up, it's a little easier. Okay, we'll do it off the other hand. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can play around again with the flam accent with different types of patterns that resolve every 2 flam accents. So one of them is the quarter note triplet, which is a nice sound. Let's see if I can get it going. Yeah, so that's... No, but I've changed it. I gotta play the flam still. Yeah. Note to self, practice these more before I start filming them. Yeah, or the jazz quarter note triplet, which is a fun one to play with this. And of course you can play those off the other hand. So I hope you get the idea of what we can do with these. And again, I think if I may be any sort of example with struggling with these a bit, is that these are works in progress. We're works in progress as musicians. We're works in progress as people. So don't feel that everything you have to play, especially in the practice room, has to be perfect. You're always trying to develop it. But especially if you're someone who plays the improvised music, I mean, what is perfect? What's going to be the perfect thing to play? If you play the perfect thing to play last night and you're playing with the same band tonight, what does that mean? Do you play all the same stuff? How do you reconcile that? So just be, the reason we practice these things is develop our physical acumen and flexibility, so that when you want to play something, hopefully in the moment, you'll develop to the point where you can play it. Obviously, I have some more work to do on that. That's fine. That's part of the process. That's fine. So all I'm saying is, practice around with things like we talked about. Playing flammed rudiments where you're not accenting the flams, that all the notes are the same volume. Playing around with accenting notes that aren't the flam. You could go through the flam section and stick control and do all those things. I certainly haven't taken it that far. But it just develops that flexibility. And it also helps you appreciate the flam sound as a way to emphasize things with thickness of sound rather than volume of sound. You can do both, for sure. But sometimes you might just want a thick sound but not a louder sound, right? So that's another way of emphasizing something that's going on. Okay, so I hope you have fun with this. Appreciate you being patient with me around this. And talk to you soon.